Yes people, what is going on, and welcome back to 100% Chelsea. So this is the second episode of the World Cup show that we are doing on this channel. My name is Ian, if you haven't seen the original video. What this video is, very simply, we are talking over all the Chelsea players at the World Cup, whether they're on loan, whether they are a normal player in the starting 11 or reserves or whatever. If they're in the first team, on loan, we're talking about them. A couple of transfer targets as well. Sorry for my voice, I'm an England fan. We went pretty mental last night, so apologise for this tone. But let's get into it. So, we're going to go through it in the order that they played, or should have played. And the first play we're going to talk about, very simply, is the Spain-Portugal game, which was a great game of football, which of course involved Azpilicueta. Well, should have involved Azpilicueta. He didn't feature, which is a big shame. It's kind of a tough one because Spain have got two very good centre halves. I thought, to be fair, that he should have come on so they could almost see out the win. They were 3-2 up and they conceded the not last minute equaliser, but a very late equaliser to a Ronaldo free kick to complete his hat-trick. I thought he should have come on to stop that threat of them conceding the third goal, and then who knows what could have happened, but I think he should have featured. Maybe not from the start. I do think PK and Ramos are better than him. He definitely has a shout of getting in that team for sure, but I think he should have come on at some point. I was disappointed not to see him come off the bench. So that is unfortunately all we can say about that game, although it was a great game of football. Very simply, can't say any more than that. So let's go on to the France-Australia game, which was the next game, which involved Kante and Olivier Giroud. So, N'Golo Kante, he had a couple of critics in this game, and I mean, obviously France got the win 2-1. There was a dubious decision with VAR. Should it have been a penalty? Shouldn't have been a penalty? Who knows? I don't think it. I don't think it was a penalty, but there we are. We're not going to go into any more than that. We are talking about Chelsea players. And let's talk about Kante. I thought it was unlucky because I think he got overshadowed by Pogba. Basically, Pogba kind of had this licence to roam in around the midfield, and Kante was almost pushed back too far. Basically, I think it was Mark Lawrenson who said he was basically a third centre-half for big chunks of the game, which I actually do agree with. I think that he didn't necessarily have as big of an impact as he wanted to. It wasn't his best performance. Australia, unfortunately, are a side that weren't necessarily going to go and play the ball around the midfield and pop it round, to give Kante the opportunity to chase him down and track him down, intercept some passes, make some tackles, the things that he's best at. He did get involved, he did put in a shift, but it wasn't where I feel he was most effective, which is a shame. I think he needs to have a great tournament, although he did start over Matuidi, which is a very big thing. Because obviously there's the three of them, and it's all very very close on who plays and who doesn't. So I'm very happy that he definitely got the start, and he's definitely done enough to get himself future starts as well. You'd be very surprised not to see him in the games coming up. So let's talk about Olivier Giroud. Didn't start the game but came off the bench. He linked up with Pogba for the Pogba's winning goal. I don't know if it went down as Pogba's goal or an own goal, but he came on, he got the assist, he linked up with the play, and did very well for when he came on. Obviously there was the injury to him last week, just over a week ago, with the head injury with Matt Miazga, and he had kind of like a bandage on around his head. So I was quite interested to see what happened with him. But you know Olivier, he is a fighter. He's a proper fighter, and he got himself involved. And there seemed to be a bit of belief because they had Griezmann on from the start. France did, and when Olivier Giroud come on, there was a big lift to they needed the goal. They really needed a goal. And I thought they did very well in doing that as a team, but the France performance all round wasn't very good. Did get lifted when Olivier Giroud come on, so I'm very happy for Olivier Giroud. Definitely has done enough, I would argue, to start, but it's going to be always very hard with Mbappe and Griezmann to contend with. So let's go on to the next game that involved the Chelsea player, and it was the one that the thumbnail of this video, I'm pretty sure, will be Willy Caballero. Oh dear, come on lad. See, I really like him. I really do like him, and I think there's a, you know, as a backup goalkeeper for Chelsea, he's good. You know, I think he's not the best player in the world, nowhere near it. Not the best goalkeeper in the world, but I think as an option, he's definitely good for you. However, a nation like Argentina, starting in the World Cup, I thought he'd be okay, but the mistake, oh dear. Shot come through the legs. I think it got a small nick off a defender, but didn't have that much on it. Feel like he should have been palming it out wide or even holding it as a goalkeeper. I think you should try and hold on to that. But at least if you are going to push it wide, push it anywhere, push it out wide, not straight back into the path of the centre forward. So. Look, I think Argentina as a whole have gone downhill in the last few years, being realistic and being honest. I think they have gone downhill in the last few years. Of course, they have got Messi and all this firepower going forward, but their defence is going to let them down. And I think a good defence with Caballero in goal could be all right, but a bad defence or an okay defence with Caballero in goal could be a possible issue for them in the long run in the tournament. So, we're going to move on for that because we like talking about positive stuff. It was an unfortunate thing that happened. I think he can come and rise from it. They have 2 games left in that group. And they want to basically win them both against Croatia, which will be a very hard game, and Nigeria as well, that will be fighting because they need to stay in the tournament. So, let's get on to something more positive. So, we come on to not a Chelsea player anymore, but one we all love, Branislav Ivanovic, playing for Serbia. What a goal it was from Kolarov. No, he's not a Chelsea player, or ever been a Chelsea player, but what a goal, honestly. And let's be honest, they won 1-0. They beat Costa Rica 1-0. And Serbia were a solid team. Didn't muck around, didn't do anything fancy. Matic in midfield with Tadic, played the ball around, spread it nicely. Ivanovic played centre-half, and they just kept their shape and their structure, and they were big physical presences, and that was including Ivanovic, who, I have to say, actually got forward a bit and all, which I like to see, because we all know the threat that he has got going forward. He did very well from centre-back to keep that structure the way it was, and played really, really well. Not going to touch on him for too long, but played very, very well. Very, very solid. Just how we always liked Branislav. Let's go on to the next game, which is going to be a very quick one. Mexico against Germany was the next game to possibly feature a Chelsea player, although didn't happen. Didn't happen because Rudiger was left on the bench for some bizarre reason. I have no idea what is going on with that. Very, very strange. Don't know why. They obviously got beaten 1-0 by Mexico. They will not be happy with that at all. There's been a couple of shots been fired at certain managers and coaching staff from certain individuals, but that's nothing for us to deal with. But Rudiger, I think, will be very disappointed that he wasn't in that game. And I think Mexico on the counter-attack, they had the pace, they had it for days, and I think Rudiger was a massive part of possibly being in that. He would have played at left-back, and I think that he should have been playing in there because, very simply, if that ball goes in so quickly the way it did, Rudiger is going to be the one of the German back line to catch them, or to at least put pressure on them. So I would be disappointed if I was Rudiger, but don't expect him to be on the bench for the next game. Let's just say that. One thing, and I just realised I've just missed it off my list, was Croatia against Nigeria. Moses played from the start. So did our club legend and god Mikel. Played from the start. They didn't play very well. Simple as. They weren't good enough. Croatia dominated the game. 1-2-0. They had 1 or 2 chances, but they just looked massively inexperienced, Nigeria. And to be honest with you, I think everyone was kind of a bit disheartened that they didn't wear the kit. But they were average at best, and Croatia did pull them apart. Now, I have to say Croatia, very quickly, were a team that I thought would be one of the flops of the tournament. They seem to have started very well, and I think it'd be very interesting to watch them throughout the tournament. So, anyway, moving back on to the right chain of events, Brazil. Brazil played Switzerland, which happened Sunday night, and Willian was the only player involved for Chelsea, and to be honest with you, he didn't get involved a lot. Now, Brazil obviously have abundance of attacking talent, and they've got brilliant amount. They've got one of the best squads in the tournament for sure. I've got a soft spot for them, so I always like to look at them and see what they're doing. But very simply, there was many chances that they could have played the ball to Willian, and instead they went for the classic, oh yeah, let's give it to Neymar and Coutinho. Let's give it to Neymar and Coutinho. Let's give it to Neymar and Coutinho. And honestly, it kind of killed Willian's game a small amount. Everything they had came from the left-hand side. It was almost as like that Neymar was the only person that could take anyone on. Willian, when he did get the ball, he drove through from deep, normally into the opposition half, and then gave the ball off to someone like Neymar. It would have been very hard for him to run the length of the pitch, or to at least go on and have a drive a goal himself. He had 1 or 2 moments in the game. He would be just slightly not. The Brazil as a whole will be disappointed. I think Willian will kind of have a bit of a, a bit of a tick basically to kind of go again and try and get more involved. It was very hard for him in that game from what I saw, and I don't know how you guys saw it, but I think it was going to be very tough for him to kind of have the big impact on the Brazilian team that we all know he can have. He's one of those players, anytime he gets the ball, you think he's going to do something. But very simply, it was almost like he was told to calm down, which I think in the Brazilian sense isn't necessarily the right thing to do. So let's go on from that game. Brazil will be very disappointed. One team that will not be disappointed is Belgium. Belgium, of course, featuring Batshuayi, who didn't play, unfortunately, but Hazard and Courtois. Now, let's deal with Courtois very quickly. Didn't have a lot to do in the game, to be honest. Didn't have a lot to do. Dealt with the shots that were put at him. Handful of them against Panama because they didn't really offer anything going forward, which is a shame. Quite an even game first half. Courtois kept them in it when needed. And second half, the game started to open up. Now, this is where we talk about opening up, and we'll talk about Eden Hazard. So, Hazard played out on the left-hand side as a front three with Mertens and Lukaku. And Mertens and Lukaku both got a goal each, well, 1 goal at least. Lukaku got 2, Mertens got 1. Brilliant screamer. But I think, unfortunately for Hazard, it was almost as if he was kind of not told to tone down, but couldn't have the stamp on it that he necessarily wanted to. De Bruyne was playing deep, which basically, I think a lot of people psychologically will say that De Bruyne basically went, I have to go and show my stamp on this game. De Bruyne didn't look happy, which means that he had to try and go over the top, which he did do successfully. So you'll look at this game and say there was 1 or 2 moments that will be remembered for De Bruyne's like outside of the football, for Lukaku's goal, Mertens as well with the first one. It just sat up for him perfectly. That was just almost luck. For it to sit so perfectly, and then great skill to finish it. Hazard did get the assist for Lukaku's second goal, which was a nice little dink over the keeper. He'll be happy with it, and obviously it's kind of being captain is kind of hard but you want to. In a mental sense, your normal self would want to be going, oh, I can go and do this, I can go and get it, I can go and get it, I can do this, I can do that, and I can go and achieve, and I can do my thing. But there's also a part of you that kind of has to tone it down, which is a shame for Hazard, because you know how brilliant he is, and when he's on his day, he is insane. But I think anyone who's got him in Dream Team or Sweepstakes or anything like that to be top goal scorer, I don't think he's going to be top goal scorer at this tournament. I don't think he's going to score many goals at all. I think if anything, he's going to get assists. Can score goals, and I think he definitely offers a threat, but I think that he's going to be the one that gives the assists more than anything. Now, let's come on to the final game that involves one of our players. It's a player technically on loan. Don't know if he's technically back with the club now, but it is Ruben Loftus-Cheek and England. What a result. What a result against Tunisia. A very hard game. Referee did not want us to win that game, I'm sure. Seemed to do everything wrong, the referee did. But we're not here to talk about referees. We're here to talk about Chelsea players that played. And Loftus-Cheek didn't play for long. Cahill didn't play at all. But Loftus-Cheek did one thing when he came on, and that was win the corner for the Harry Kane goal that won the game for England. To be honest with you, didn't offer a great deal. I like Loftus-Cheek, but I think he needs a bit more international experience. I think he needs to possibly be a bit more adventurous. There's a lot said about his pass completion and such, which I know is stupidly high. However, they aren't necessarily the right balls to be playing. I think there could be a couple of chances he could take that risk and try and open a team up. but he didn't necessarily do it. One thing he did do was win the corner, and he did try and battle when he came on. Everything going forward was great. Luckily, England were on the front foot. Depending on where they want to play him, if they want to play him in like a centre midfield, or if they want to play him in centre attacking midfield, he needs to do a bit defensively. We didn't get a chance to see that in the game yesterday, but it's definitely on the cards, I feel. So, anyway, that is it for all the Chelsea players, I believe. Yes, that is them all done. A couple of other people to mention, Lewandowski, who is a transfer target, and Koulibaly, who is a transfer target, played today. We still don't know, again, who is going to come in and who's going to do what, so it's kind of hard with the transfer targets to keep an eye on. But hopefully they'll have a good, hopefully they'll show us what we could be in for in August when we hopefully and possibly sign them. So, thank you very much for watching. If you're new around here, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you check out the transfer shows that Lawrence and Louis are doing daily. Make sure you follow my socials and my YouTube channel, which is Craigo28. Hopefully there will be a link down in the description. Yeah, we're doing this for all the World Cup games, trying to keep an eye on all the Chelsea players. It will hopefully be very good fun. Thank you for watching. Make sure you subscribe if you're new around here, and we will see you here for some more World Cup videos from 100% Chelsea.